I love how y'all make it work. You have to put effort into it. Yep, you definitely have to put effort into marriage. And somebody said that sounds so, I think they said like overwhelming or a lot of work. Marriage, I think she's talking about. It doesn't have to, it's not overwhelming. Let me just break it to you. Here's what I would say. I'm a newlywed, so there's a transition period, right? So I was very strong in my, I am single and satisfied. I am no damsel in distress, boo. I don't need you. I'm good. I got God, right? Nothing wrong with that. Great place to get to. But once you get married, I had to like now undo some of that attitude, right? It was good when I was single, but I had to undo some of that because now it's like, okay, you're a team. Now it's two. Now it's not just all about you. Now you have to learn to communicate. And the key is to marry someone that's equally yoked, not just saved, but equally yoked on, in my book, The Single Woman's Dating Guide, I have a chapter that talks about questions you should ask, not just spiritually equally yoked. That's first and foremost important, but equally yoked in a lot of natural things, like how you're going to raise your kids, just so many things. Do you want to pray in the Spirit? Because I can tell you there's a difference when one prays in the Spirit and one doesn't. We both do. I've been in relationships where everybody both doesn't, but we both do. And our spiritual level of working through conflict is amazing. Why? Because when we get really mad, and I mean like really mad, we separate and we go pray in the Spirit separately. When I tell you by the time we finish praying, there's a peace and a unity and we make up. Not because we wanted to. Like I said, I can be sassy, y'all. I can be sassy. But the Holy Spirit, the Lord will deal with you. And he'll show you where you're wrong. You won't be focused on where the other person is wrong. You'll deal with your crap. And then God will show you where you're wrong. And he'll soften your heart. A lot of times our heart is just really hardened when we're pissed off, when we're mad, whatever. And God will soften it. And then you'll want to make up. But like sometimes you don't know what's wrong. Sometimes you don't know the solution. You don't know the answer. But the Spirit of truth lives inside of you. So when you do pray in that other language, he resolves things that you don't know how to resolve. And when I could tell you in my entire life, so many blessings and deliverances and healings have come from me having those encounters with the Holy Spirit and spending time in prayer with the Holy Spirit. Because when you pray in the Spirit, your spiritual language, the word says that you're praying the perfect will of God. In our natural mind, we don't understand everything. When I first got married, there's some things that I just didn't understand about my husband. I'm like, I don't get that and I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. But when you go pray in the Spirit, it's like God will begin to open up your understanding and give you and explain mysteries that you didn't even know, like you didn't understand. But now he's giving you a revelation of how to love that man, how to deal with conflict, how to communicate with him, how to deal with your own attitude. Like he just gives you so much. So it is not hard, but it is work. And some people say, I've heard somebody say, I don't know why people say it's work. To each his own. I'm going to say it's work. I think anything that is important to you, it is work. Like on Mondays, we have something called Marriage Mondays. So we sow into our marriage by listening to a message or reading a book or doing something to teach us because you have to learn. But in the same respect, when you're single, you have to learn how to have a whole joyful life when you're single. You have to make steps and goals. Like a step for me was to build my tribe. I was completely isolated in my singleness. Everybody had went off to college. I was by myself. So loneliness being completely isolated was not a good thing for me because now I'm left with my thoughts and just my loneliness. And so I had to build my tribe. And that's what I did. And then there's other steps. And that's work. Building your tribe, like finding godly women to be friends with and building a relationship. Just like you have to build a friendship. That's how you're doing in a marriage. So that doesn't mean like, it's overwhelming. But it is work. And for me, when I first got married, there were times where it did feel a little overwhelming because I wasn't used to having to communicate that much to anybody. Because I'm not a big phone person. So even though I have a lot of friends, I'm not on the phone all the time. So when you're married, you need to communicate. And for me at first, I was like, ooh, Lord, that's work. We got to sit here and talk. Well, yeah, if you want a happy marriage, yeah, you got to sit there and talk, boo. You need to work out your issues. So in that regards, you're absolutely right. It's work. And at first, it could feel like hard work at first. But once you get used to it, my prayer to God was teach me how to be a wife, a godly wife. Teach me how to be the wife that he needs. And as you do that, God will give you wisdom. He'll show you. And it gets easier and easier and easier. And you learn and you grow together. So the way I felt a year ago, like a fish out of water, I don't feel like that now. Do I have all the answers? Heck no. But I just feel more secure and okay, being the wife that God has called me to be right now. A year from now, I'm going to be a different wife. Because I'm going to always be growing and evolving and him as well. And so, yes, you do have to put the time into it. which is more time that you have to put into anything when you're single. So that's why I always say enjoy your single season, because it'll be different. It'll be great, but it is work. And it doesn't have to be a dreadful work. It's a fun work. Once you get in your mind like, okay, I'm in this thing for life, we're making it work regardless. So you might as well make the best of it, and you might as well learn about it so that, you know, it can be joyful and fun and amazing. And again, just like you don't always feel amazing when you're single, you don't always feel amazing when you're married. You got to do it by faith. So that's just that.